So I'm Neil Dugan, and welcome to this coronavirus online congress presentation. Today I have with me Christine Morrison, exceptionally interesting person who will introduce herself in a moment. But Christine is an artist and clairvoyant and many other things as well. And Christine's going to be talking to us today about her perspective on how we can actually jump out of the paradigm, which is the coronavirus pandemic. So Christine, if you could introduce yourself, that would be wonderful.
Thanks, Neil. I always find it quite hard to explain or say who I am and what I do, but my best description is a musical alchemist. I'm also a sound healer, musician, composer and teacher. And I've been working with sound and music as a complementary therapy since 1996. And that's working in a way of incorporating mind, body, spirit, everything's connected. And it's been my learning of working out how to work with sound and music. I've been really guided how to do it. It's been a process of remembering what I already know, which totally freaked me out at the time. But I'm also, I've realised I'm also a truth seeker. And I'm really here to discover the ancient form of healing. And this is what happened to me in 1996. I was a primary school teacher and music specialist. I've always been a musician. I was born with the gift of music, I realise now. And I was really unwell in 1996 when I was teaching, and I was laid up in bed. No one knew what was wrong with me, and everything was taken away from me. I was laying in bed, couldn't do anything, except I realised I heard music. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful music. And something made me get up and played on the piano, even though I was quite weak. And as I played the music I heard, it was such a huge release. And I knew I was clearing, I knew the memories that I had stored within me. Excuse me, and that was cleared as I played the music. And I would think I'd have to play it through a little bit. And then the music stopped and I thought, thank goodness, that's it. And then another lot of music would start. And that was my process for the year. And I wasn't physically strong enough to play the piano all the time. So I had a keyboard that I could record on. And so I would record the music once and then replay it until I didn't need to hear it anymore.
Okay.
And it was a time that really scared me because I knew what I was doing. I knew deep within my soul I knew what I was doing, but my mind couldn't understand it. And I thought I was going crazy because I just knew what to do, but I was actually getting myself better. And after that process of that year and getting myself back to full health, I thought I'd go back teaching because we really needed the money. And the day before I was meant to go back teaching, I had a car accident and I was in a whole lot of physical pain and a lot of soft tissue injury. And that's when I started hearing the voice and sounds from the voice. And I thought, well, I've got perfect pitch. I may as well try that sound. And as I made the sound that I heard, it directly hit the pain that I had. And as I had a lot of time because I couldn't work because of the pain, I was discovering how to use my voice, which was toning. I didn't even know what toning was in those days. And it helped me move the pain around my body, helped dissipate it, and again, releasing. And I didn't realise at that time I was actually working at a cellular level with sound and music to release. And then I started researching it because I really thought I was going nuts then, hearing these sounds. Like, what are these sounds? I really must be going crazy. And I found that there were people called sound healers, and this was sound healing. And so I worked this, and I think in a way I needed to know, prove it to myself that this actually works. And people that saw how unwell I was and in what a bad way I was, and then how I looked really, really good and full of energy. Like, what are you doing? You know, they used to look at me thinking, she's not really crazy, because she used to be a primary school teacher. She can't be that crazy. And it was a lot of learning. And after working on myself, I then had a year of a whole lot of different deaths. And I realised one of my jobs here is to create music for people that are passing, to help them pass over. And it's a really beautiful thing to do. It's a real privilege to do that. I also do music for pregnant women. It's aligning the beautiful souls coming in to, sometimes it's through the music, saying to them, you know, it's going to be okay. It's okay this time. And as I was having all that learning, I started to hear music for other people, and I knew who it was for. And I just didn't want to do it. So I don't want to go there, because I could actually feel, I knew what they were going to go through. And I thought, no, I don't want any of that. But what happened with the music and during those whole process, if I didn't get up and play the music, it would just keep going like a bad record. So in the end, I just wanted to sleep. So it was in cassette tape in those days, record onto cassette tape and almost apologise. They were friends and family. You know, I'm sorry, but I basically want to sleep. I just knew I had to hand the music over.
Okay.
And so that was my process of learning about how to work with sound.
Look, I have about 500 questions, you know, singing around in my mind at the moment as well. And, you know, the first one is that you're talking about, you know, seeker after the truth and finding your truth. And, you know, I'd just like you to talk a little bit more about what that means. And it seems to be very, very specific, you know, this information that you're getting for yourself, and for, you know, to begin with yourself, and then after that for other people. And there's something intriguing in what you're talking about here around the truth and the specific nature of this interaction with individuals. So I just wonder if you could just fill that out a little bit for us.
Well, in that, you know, that recognition of being a truth seeker, a lot of it's come from sound, and the information and guidance I get through the sound. And I hear the music of the trees, and I hear people's individual music. I hear music in any living form. And often I'm guided to either do music for somebody. It's a little bit different now. I've sort of there's more of an agreement going on that people will come to me rather than me. It was my learning in that point. But sometimes I'm guided just to go, especially if I'm travelling, to go to maybe stop next to a tree, and I'll sing the tree, or I'll sing an energy in, and it's that whole alignment of the cosmos through me and into the earth. And in doing that, I get this knowledge or wisdom that comes through, like, which sets me off in different directions to then go and research that, and which sort of leads to where we're at now. I knew something was coming, you know. I feel like I've been waiting 20-something years. Some people might have been waiting longer. Knew this change was coming. And over the years, I've learnt a lot from Aboriginal elders too. They've seemed to come in and out of my life quite a lot. And I've really learnt a lot about connection with the land and the cosmos, everything.
Oh, sure. You know, obviously you're going to speak to us a little bit about how people can integrate this kind of wisdom themselves going forward a bit later. But I'm absolutely intrigued by this nature of this transmission of information, and I'm also intrigued with your recognition that the work is at the cellular level, and clearly, given that we're talking about the coronavirus and how it's actually expressing itself, where, you know, at a level below the cell, we're just dealing with a piece of DNA. And this concept that a person can actually be operating and working at this kind of totally microscopic level, You know, it's not something which is commonly talked about, but then you and I aren't unique in talking about this either.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do now, like I'm just saying that because I'm sure that, you know, you're going to have more to comment on that topic as we go. And you're welcome to just comment on it now if you wish. But
Yeah, I might do how I first started having awareness of working at a cellular level.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, and that was I'd actually forgotten about it. It just popped in then when you said it. When I was doing the first year, where I was still laid up in bed for quite a while and nobody really knew what was wrong with me. It was just before chronic fatigue and all that came in, so I don't know if it was that or not, but it was definitely my awakening. I knew I was here to do this. Very reluctant to do it, I must say, at the same time, and I don't know why, because I absolutely love what I do. But one time I was doing playing some music for myself, and I had this vision I saw inside of myself, and it was almost like I saw every cell in my body, and and that different emotions, different times in my life where I'd held emotion, where you didn't want to show people that you were hurt or they were laughing at you. And I was always a really sensitive person, so I probably felt things a lot more than I probably couldn't have laughed off a lot of things. I probably took things to heart a lot more. And I saw my cells, like all those different moments, because I was aware of different memories come up and go when I was playing the music. And then I saw inside my body, and my cells were full. I was full of all these things that I'd held on to, and they just all had to be released. And then as I was doing specific music, which would be a specific vibration, it just sort of popped open and released, and it was cleared and it went. So that was my very first awareness, but I really wasn't aware of I'm working at a cellular level, but I knew I was shown they're like little balls, but they were like cells within me.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, thank you for clarifying that as well. And I just wonder whether you might just briefly speak about what you're observing in the community. So you've identified yourself as being like me, somebody who lives in Western Australia, and that you have this connection with the elders and the people of the land. But tell me a little bit more about what you're observing, the pattern of how people are around you at the moment, particularly in relation to this this outbreak of this virus.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, because the fear, and I went to one of the biggest supermarkets last week, and I was just so surprised of the fear, the anxiety and the panic. And I was walking around thinking I'll get a few things, and felt like I was walking quicker and quicker, and I have to get this, I have to get that. And I had to really stop myself and breathe, slow myself down. And that panic that's around, but it's not everywhere, but it's a lot of people. And that the unknown, I think it's all because people don't know, none of us know what's happening. But very much that fear, anxiety and that panic, yeah. That's what I'm noticing.
Have you had any contact with elders just recently, to get a feeling for how the elders are actually viewing this pandemic and so
on? Not to do with a pandemic. I did see an elder who's not very well at the moment, and she was talking about all the changes that's happening. She wasn't talking about the virus. She's really excited about all the changes that's happening, and that it's such big clearing at the moment. And she's, even though how unwell she is, she's really aware that she's part of that. And she's like, isn't it awesome? Like, this is really good.
It's just like I got a tear in my eye. It's just absolutely wonderful to hear. Like, we don't have to focus on the virus to recognise the changes that the virus is creating.
No, and we've all been working on being part of the change. Like, we've all come here to be part of this change. That's how I feel.
Okay, so that's your sort of observations, like from an outside, as though you were an outsider actually viewing it. And interestingly enough, when I was interviewed on this topic, the subject for me was, the experience of being in a supermarket. And for me, the feeling was that I was looking at a war-torn people. I remember actually traveling to a place, a country where they'd just come out of a civil war. This is many, many years ago. And the haunted look on the people's faces in the supermarket here in Perth, Australia, was exactly the same. And so, my observation mirrors so closely the observation that you made as well. So I'll be in trouble if I don't follow the script. So I'll just check what the questions are that I'm supposed to be asking you.
But can I also say, I really feel that the fear, anxiety and panic is almost, I'm getting a sense, I don't know, I feel like what do I know? I don't really know anything, but my feeling is the fear, anxiety and panic is so important to be felt in order, at a cellular level as well, for this change where we're all heading. Somehow, not important to dwell in it and stay in it, but somehow it's actually creating change. If people didn't have this huge emotions that's happening, they wouldn't want to change, but we have to change to cope with it. Do you want to stay in this or do you not want to stay in this?
Okay. Well, that's remarkable. Thank you. Okay, so you're already starting to answer the next question, which is, what are your ideas around the pandemic? Like, what is the purpose of the pandemic and so on? So you've mentioned this concept of a change, and that's what you feel that we're in. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about, that aspect. So, like, obviously clearly connecting into the anxiety and fear that people are experiencing.
Yeah.
But, what's the meaning? What is the meaning there? Well,
I feel like if we are experiencing the fear and anxiety and that, it's actually within us. It's easy to pick it up from other people, but if you resonate with it, it must be somewhere vibrationally within you that we may carry from ancestral lineage or I don't know, I believe that it's there. And as it's coming up, for me, what I've learned over time working with music and sound is that if you feel it in every fibre of your being, then I can sing it out, you can sing it out, we can play it out. So let's bring it up, whatever's there, bring it up and let's clear it and then come into that space of, for me, it's, for years I've been getting, live by the way of the heart. We need to move into a society excuse me, or a world of living by the way of the heart, rather than being in the mind for everything, asking the question, what would love do? When you're making a decision, what would love do? What's the most kindest, compassionate way of doing things? So I feel like this fear and anxiety is really good to bring it up. And then, well, how do you want to live? Do you want to live in this way of being fearful and anxious? Or do you want to live in a more peaceful way? And I find this social distancing and the isolation, I'm kind of getting excited because it's making people stay at home. And when you're at home, for me, making a difference in the world, everyone wants this difference in the world and peace in the world, but they're looking everywhere out there and they're beginning to learn we've got to go within. So this isolation is actually making people go within. And once we look within, sometimes we don't like what we see within. I've done that and had to do a lot of work on myself to go, okay, let's dissolve that part. We've got to feel it, release it. So how do I want to be? You can't immediately go into a space of peace, because I notice when I do my music, when I'm doing music for a specific person, I need to match where they're at. If you've got a highly stressed person and you say, oh, here's some meditative music, put this on, they're almost screaming because they're not of that vibration. So for me, when I'm doing music, I have to match where they're at. So intuitively, I tune into where they're at, match where they're at, and then you bring them to a space of peace. So
I love it. That's just absolutely perfect. Yeah, you have to meet people where they are, and the idea that that they're being self-isolating, or being quarantined into their homes and that type of thing, which is what we're looking at more and more at the moment. Like, what choice do they have but to actually get in contact with themselves? Well, for most people, of course, what they're going to do is they're going to find distraction upon distraction. And one of the lovely opportunities that I've got is talking to people like yourself who have got some other ideas about the situation. And later on today, I'm actually interviewing somebody who's a relationship expert. And when I was just briefly speaking with her, she was saying, don't forget that the big trauma for people at the moment is they've got to stay in the house with their family.
Yeah.
They've got to be for 14 or more days with their partner or their children. And what's that going to be like? So it's just uncanny, the resonance.
And I always say, chaos, clarity comes from chaos. It's almost like you need that I find when I do music for people, sometimes they have these couple of days of absolute chaos, and it's like whatever's not meant to be in your energy field just gets spun out. So often different situations or people come into their lives, totally makes it upside down. But when that clears, everything just unfolds. The synchronicity is unbelievable, and I feel that's where we're at. This chaos is just upending everything, and I feel we are here to heal. I know years ago when I first started having the awareness of all of this, I asked, what am I here for? And I heard, you're here to help heal humanity. And I thought, geez, that's either a bit crazy or it's a bit big. Well, I don't think so. And it's totally, we're all part of being here to help heal humanity. And in order to do that, we have to heal ourselves. But I feel like we're creating a new world. It's not just healing humanity. We're all here to help birth this new world and this new way of being, totally. So it's almost everything has to be totally crashed in order to go, well, how are we going to be from now?
Yeah. Look, something that's just coming through so strongly from you is just your inherent humility. And, you speak of yourself in such plain ways, and an outsider would view you as being extraordinary. You're an extraordinary character. And yet there is this tremendous humility that's also attached to the notion that I am here to heal humanity. And so are you, and you and you. But we're here to do that. And like there's this discord between the notion of, the very, very competent person, and so therefore important. So we've got this relationship in our society, in our minds, around importance as being to do with capability or the ability to influence and power and that type of thing as well. And what you're talking about is from such a humble place. It's just such wonderful humility. And it's recognizing that, yes, I have a role. I have a role. I'm, an advocate of this heart connection and these things. But it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It actually puts me in the community of people who are healing society, healing the way humans interact with the earth and so on. So it's very, very beautiful and it's not exactly overwhelming, but it's an incredibly powerful statement that's actually coming through by your non-statement, if you like. And that's something that I would like, people to actually recognize who are, listening to what you're talking about. So what observations, because I know you're tuning into all of these things. So tell me about what you're actually getting as information field back from the virus.
I haven't actually tuned into the virus or just the whole situation around the virus. Yeah, I just feel it's such a great opportunity now to that, like I said before, go within and okay, how do we want to be? How do we actually want to be? And we're coming to a time where, like my work, I'm not having any income at the moment because I work with groups and people and with all the isolation. And it's quite interesting. Normally I would, I should say a few years ago, I would have been quite fearful about that. But there's something that when I'm staying in tune with who I am and connection with the land, there's a deep knowing within me that this is so exciting where we're heading. Everything is going to be okay. And it's easy to say that, but and for me, it's to stay in that energy. And I'm doing music around that at the moment this week because we all need that. We need something to help us stay in that vibration. But it's also important to let all the worries and that come up and go as well. But so what I'm getting from it is this is a time, such a great time for reconnection with self, with family, with the land, with nature. That's what I'm getting from it. Mm.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic, and I do hope that I haven't even asked you about this yet, but we'd love to have a recording which was available to listeners as well. And
yeah.
So if you're able to make something like that available,
for sure. For sure.
What things would you recommend to the watchers to actually be able to get more in sync and more in tune? With this change, because the focus here is for you is the change. How can people get more resonant with that change?
Well, the first thing is to be aware of how you're feeling, and it's really easy when you're busy to not want to look at yourself and blame everything else around you that's going on. So actually, before the awareness is taking responsibility actually for yourself and what's going on, and being responsible for yourself, for how you feel, but have the awareness, because we can't make any change unless we're aware of what we actually need to change. So first of all, have the awareness and to really just accept that to start off with and breathe it through. And because I work with music and sound, for me, I sing it out or play it out through music. Everyone would be doing it in a different way. And it's quite easy when I say sing it out, it's just really making a sound. You tune into the vibration of where it is, you feel where it is in your body, and I say sing it out. But some people dance it out, you can shout it out. And it's, again, taking responsibility, not shouting at anybody, but just releasing it in the right way.
It's like an inner communication through sound, isn't it?
Yes.
Like you're making that communication internally.
Yeah.
But also, as you say, to the earth and to the land. And for people outside of Australia, it's perhaps a little bit hard to actually grasp how important it is for an Australian. This conception of the land, like this is an old place, and there's so many spiritual connections and ways in which we connect to the land, which is quite different to connecting to the earth. So people anywhere on the planet can connect to the earth, and indeed anywhere on the planet you could come and connect into the the earth here, and connect to the country, and so like I can feel it in yourself, like there's this powerful connection to all of that lineage, there's this connection, deep connection into the spiritual nature of the earth.
Yeah, very much. And you feel it when you don't have to be out in the bush or I'm so lucky I live close to the ocean too, because that's my saviour. It just helps me rebalance and reharmonise myself. But some people just have a plant, just a small plant outside or inside. That's enough to help you reconnect as well.
Yeah. Well, look, I was interviewing somebody in Manhattan the other day, and they live in an apartment with just a tiny little balcony, and they're saying, what can we do? And I said to them, go to the growers market and get some herbs and put them out on the balcony. Then go out and talk to the herbs,
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. You don't
I'll
have
talk back.
there'll be plenty of information will come back, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, yeah, any other thoughts in terms of what people could do? So, like, you're suggesting that they really get in touch with themselves and they sing it out. So, like, this is your form of art.
Yes.
And that's the
yes. The other thing they can do is, they can talk to their selves. When I started realising more what I was doing, I realised I could work inwardly and see my selves and talk to my selves. And then over time, a really beautiful friend of mine, Helen McCarthy, which I'm sure you're going to hear about in years to come, she said to me, you call all your cells together. This is like a whole team. You're not just talking to one cell. Let's all work together as a whole. And so it's like, come on, guys, we're all going to work together. And so you talk to your cells, like, okay, this is what do you want to create? I work with intention a lot, because hearing music and knowing how to work with sound, basically what we're doing as a musical alchemist, I'm changing the vibration from this vibration to that vibration. So my music is a vibrational tool for change. So I'm like, well, okay, what do I want to create? We all know what we don't want. So like, if we don't have that, what would you have? So I focus on that intention. So you can do it with music and you can do it with your mind. Just, well, what do I want to create? Okay, guys, okay, are we all together? Let's create this together. And that's where I do the music with using the voice. But people have their favourite music as well. There's music that we know we feel so uplifted or balanced or centred with, but it's really important to be aware of your mind as well in connection with that. So I wanted to reminded me, your thoughts are so powerful, which do affect every cell in your body. So be really mindful what you're thinking. If you're watching the TV or the hysteria with the fear and everything, you're going to create more fear in your body. So it's using your mind. You can just be sitting there in silence, being aware of what you're thinking. Then for me, if you add sound or music with that, it's extremely powerful. And if you have your own music, I really encourage you to read the words. If it's a song with words in it, what vibration are you creating with those words? Are they positive and uplifting words, or are they words that, oh, woe is me, and that kind of thing?
Very, very interesting. So, do you have any parting comments that you'd like to make?
I would just say, be true to yourself. Really, for me, I feel what I'm here to do is hold space to help empower people to step in their true, authentic selves. And there's so many of us that are doing that. And whatever, you'll be guided whichever is the best way to do it. And, the breath is so important, especially if you've got fear or anxiety. It's bringing yourself back into all your senses again. Using your voice is so powerful, your speaking voice and your singing voice. So just be aware, really aware of what you're thinking, especially to yourself. Often things we think and say to ourselves, we wouldn't even say out loud. And just commune with nature. And it's such a realigning for you to commune with nature.
That's wonderful. Well, it's just absolute pleasure to hear that. And curiously enough, last night I was at the last gathering of a small community choir, and it's shutting down because of the organisation behind it needing to follow the government restrictions and all that type of thing. And one of the songs that we were singing last night was a Dean Martin tune, and it was all about you've got to accentuate the positive. I was, singing the sort of Dean Martin part of it, obviously, and the ladies were all singing the Andrews Sisters part, and it was just this incredible energy of that's what we do. We, you know, we will have that choice anyway. We perpetuate the positive if we wish, or we can just allow ourselves to, you know, fritter in this sort of unconscious thinking, which is what we're talking about, is coming through from the telly.
That's it. And sing, and dance. You're home by yourself or with your family. Create your own little dance or musical, or make videos, and just have fun. Yeah, we're actually meant to be having fun.
Well, that's wonderful guidance in its own right. You know, that's wonderful guidance. So,
thanks,
you know, look, I'm deeply appreciative. You know, thank you so much for you know, for talking to us today. And you know, I really wish you well with your work and your journey with, you know, being an agent of change for the community wide and close. You know, so go well, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Much love to you.
Thank you very much.